was about to say, come on, YouTube. Anyway, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video, I say. And as per usual, I'm focusing on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I'd love to have my own TikTok channel, although recording 3 or 4 different platforms at the same time would be even more difficult. Well, it's not that difficult on 2, I guess, to be fair. Don't speak too soon. But I like things to be nice and easy. But yeah, probably don't need to slow down anymore. Talking of which, yesterday I was really in a demotivated mood. As I said to Mum, and she said, "You're normally like that anyway, so it's not just yesterday." But in terms of like not even doing writing or videos or anything like that, I probably did a little bit of writing, or a wee bit of writing, as the Scots would say. Given that talking about Celtic, I thought I'd say ciao. I'm talking about football as well, as a fan of Italian football. But anyway, I don't know. This is probably too much information. Is like a nice life story, and that kind of thing. But I didn't even have my shower yesterday because normally I like to have a shower every night. But I think time eluded me. Same happened last Thursday. I think I was a bit too tired, and then it was too late. And I thought I can't really be bothered. And then it sort of refreshes you when you have a shower. But then I wouldn't sleep even later. So I still think I went to sleep about 3 o'clock, and then struggled to get out of bed again. But anyway, today I want to focus on. There's loads of different plans I've got, but not enough time. I want to focus on a partnership deal, as the title and description alluded to, between Asia, or actually called Asians, and Celtic, or vice versa. Hopefully towards a mutual benefit. And as per usual, I've decided to do it in list form. Sometimes I do like to mix it up, but I normally do things in list form, to be fair. So I find it easier to do it that way. So, and I hope I don't miss any points. But anyway, so these are pointers number 1 to 10 on the partnership deal, which I hope to have between Celtic and Asia, or Asians around the world, including Asia itself, and an Asian alliance I wish to create. I'd love for them to get involved with the partnership with Celtic, but without giving too much away. So, without further ado, these are pointers number 1 to 10. Without further ado, I'll bring the show to you. Anyway, so number 1, I'd love for as many Asian nations as possible, and Asians around the world perhaps even, to have their own supporters clubs, or due to my silly little patterns and alliterations, as it's a Friday, I'm thinking like fan clubs. If I did this on Sunday, I think like supporters clubs, Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, due to my silly patterns, including alliterations and that kind of thing. But Celtic supports clubs are normally called CSCs for short, which stands for Celtic Sports Clubs, but you could also say fan clubs, so fan/supporters clubs, whichever term you want to use. I'd love for them to be all over Asia, and also for Asians around the world, and part Asians like myself, and also the club maybe to help with that sort of funding of those sorts of clubs, but basically to promote itself and brand itself more across Asia and across Asian communities around the world, as I hope to benefit the two, putting the two together. And on that note, point number 2, as I suppose that's my dyslexic creativity, connecting things together, perhaps, or maybe not, I don't know, but for whatever reason, I wish to connect them, but to hopefully be a mutual benefit and maybe learn from each other. Like Celtic could help Asians to develop their football, so I'd love for them to have as many academies as possible for Asians across Asia and around the world. So that would help them to train and that kind of thing, train together. So hopefully they'll help to have more youth development in Asian football and benefit Asian football as well. But also obviously benefit Celtic. Hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit. So I hope they have supports clubs, fan clubs, or whatever you want to call them, and academies to train and that kind of thing. So, and then some of them could even become players for Celtic in the future. Normally I do it. That's another thing about my patterns. I'll say point number 3. So point number 3. Normally I do it in. I would normally do Italian football first, and then Celtic. But I'm decided to do it in the opposite order because of a silly little pattern. I think of like, because it's a Friday, I think of like doing it in the opposite order, like Freaky Fridays. I've never watched the film, but I've heard of it. But yeah, also, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. Also, because Celtic are playing a major cup final tomorrow, hopefully we can win a double. I did have a fear about what could happen with Celtic in the league, but which I mentioned recently. But I'll probably mention that in part 2 all being well, if I remember. But yeah, I love for Asians as well, and again from the diaspora, or however you pronounce it, and also from Asia itself to sponsor Celtic and have like places and spaces for playing and practicing football. So to fund football pitches, academies, and that kind of thing within Glasgow for Celtic itself, and across Scotland and across UK and all over Europe and all over the world really as well, especially in Asia itself, and also I suppose especially in Glasgow, especially in Asia. Um, Bringing the world to Celtic and Celtic to the world and that kind of thing, and vice versa. Um, but also, as I maybe even for uh, Asian communities, I'll say around the world. So, like, I think of, let's say, Reliance Industries in India, or Tata also in India, or Toyota also in Japan, which, come to think of it, I was going to mention, Celtic has a connection with. So, it's utilising those connections. But yeah, Asian companies sponsoring, Asian brands sponsoring their own football pitches and that kind of thing for Celtic, like the same as side pitches and things like that. And as I say, in Glasgow and across Scotland, even maybe even across Britain and across the UK and across Europe. Sorry, across the UK, Britain, or whatever the difference is, and across the UK and across Europe and across the world, and especially in Asia itself. Um, but yeah, basically sponsoring places and spaces for playing and practicing. And number 4, also, I use the term in the opposite order, so or in a different order. So like spaces and places for sport. In this case, football. Hopefully, mainly playing football. But I like them to focus and concentrate on football, and I focus on football. That's quite an autistic strength to hyper focus on things, and autistic advantage perhaps. But if you focus on something and you're obsessed with something, I think for other people it might come across a bit boring or annoying or unhealthy or whatever, but it can be a good way to get lots of things done. So I mean, I know there's a rumour that Messi has autism, perhaps, and 1 or 2 footballers, but I imagine that hyper focus could be something. Although Ronaldo practices a lot, but I don't think he's autistic. But yeah, I don't know if that was a rumour or whatever, or if there's any truth in it. As I say, a romanticist ideal, as in ideal sort of thing. But anyway, I'm going a bit off topic, but or a bit off track or whatever. But yeah, spaces and places for sports. In this case, mainly football. I love for it to mainly be football, but maybe Celtic could fund sports generally for Asian nations and promote peace and diplomacy through football. Celtic to tour Asian nations and Asian communities and vice versa, playing and practicing together, which I hope to mention a bit later. So I've jumped ahead of myself a bit there, but yeah, Celtic could do tours of Asia maybe, and again invite Asians to Celtic Park again from Asia and around the world, and maybe talk about like the foundation Celtic for Good, or Football for Good, Celtic for Good as well, Celtic FC for Good, the For Good project, Football for Good through the foundation, and talk about building bridges and that kind of thing, and anti-imperialism, which I hope to come to. One of the things I'd love for Celtic to do more general, or Italian football and Celtic, is to have, and normally whatever ideas I have for one, I tend to have for the other as well, obviously vice versa. But I'd love for a discouragement of investing in wars and the weapons trade. I've talked about it in the past, but reminds me of the biblical teaching, like swords into plowshares, even though I'm not that religious. But in this case, peace through football, weapons into football, or something like that. But yeah, I'd love for them to sponsor, as I say, footy or soccer, or whatever you call it, pitches and that kind of thing, academy and whatnot. So yeah, if Tata did have those, it could have in India, it could work with Celtic as a partnership to have more pitches in India as well, football pitches, and hopefully promote their brand at the same time. Hope it would benefit their business, obviously, because it's got to be something in for them as well, and hopefully it benefits Celtic. And again, similar with Reliance, and is it Alliance? Reliance Industry, Alibaba, Toyota, and other companies like that. Again, Celtic already does have a link with Japan. Moving on to point number 5. This is one where I was trying to think about ideas to go for this. I did struggle initially, but I thought talk about goals. So my goal for this would be to benefit Celtic on the pitch, to help Celtic to win trophies even more. to win as much as possible to improve it financially, and both basically on and off the pitch, improve its brand value and that kind of thing, and at the same time to benefit Asian economies and maybe even Asian football in Asia to an extent. And maybe Celtic could look at how to train more Asians to get into football, and also including in managing and coaching and things like that, perhaps as an idea. See what they can achieve. And number 6, I would love for, I normally talk about the partnership between Italian football and Celtic, and I'd love for that to include in this. So Italy and Celtic to work together, including on projects like this. Hopefully, to in the future, I'd love to see them work on that. So Italian football and Celtic to work together, as I say, to have more academies and supports clubs across Asia and for Asian communities around the world, and that kind of thing, and to get more Asians into football and coaching, management, and that kind of thing, as well as playing it, and all that good stuff. But yeah, Italian football and Celtic to work together, including on that. I wonder if Celtic, come to think of it, can achieve what Inter Milan did this year and win a double. Shame it wouldn't be a treble, but it's 2 out of 3 is not too bad. It's better than nothing, I guess. If Celtic do win, I don't want to say for sure that we're going to win, because you never know. But yeah, hopefully we will win that one. Number 7, as I say, I'd love to see more, as many 6 and 7 aside, especially the latter, football pitches, especially for younger people. And again, I hope that can help football development. Hopefully it can help Celtic, but also Asian nations, and help in the future maybe more Asians as they can get into playing football and get into coaching, management, and things like that. It's great to see some Asians, well, especially Maeda. I think he was the main one. Yang, I think, did quite well. That one of the players, but especially Maeda scored some good goals. He missed quite a few, but he scored a few good goals, and one particularly amazing overhead kick and some really important goals right at the end of the season to really help Celtic see it over the line. Hopefully he can get a hat-trick tomorrow. That'd be great. I'd love to see Yang hat-trick or Maeda score a hat-trick. Rio Tate form and that kind of thing. I was going to say, actually, I forgot that one of the first Asian players to play outside of Asia, as far as I'm aware, was Mohamed Salim, who played for Celtic. They called him Twinkle Toes, and he came from Mohammedan FC or something. And I assume with his name, obviously, he was a Muslim guy, but I don't imagine he's still with us because it was a long time ago. But I don't imagine he's with us, if you know what I mean. But he's otherwise no longer alive. But he was he played barefoot and things like that. But yeah, he was one of the first Asians, I'm sure, to play overseas. Certainly one of the first Indians. In fact, since then there has been many, if any others, really, that played in Europe or whatever. But Celtic did a lot to help him, and he did a lot to help the club, and I think they admired how he played. Unfortunately, it hasn't kicked on from there. So great to see more players from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, China, Japan, Korea, and elsewhere, all over Asia, and those of Asian descent maybe playing for the club in the future, perhaps, as long as they're good enough. I don't think they should just be picked. But yeah, having 7-a-side tournaments with Celtic travelling to, especially at youth level, I'm jumping myself there again, playing against Asians and vice versa. Number 8, I hope that they can bring that passion and share that camaraderie and passion, and it'll be interesting what the potential partnership, if it ever gets formed, if I get to put my ideas into action, if what it can achieve with that passion and share the love with each other and that kind of thing. And if you see the few players who have played from Asia for Celtic, mainly from Japan, 1 or 2 from Korea, if you go back far enough, as I say, Mohamed Salim, before Mohamed Salah, there was Mohamed Salim. Both had the same initials, and funny enough, the same as mine, I guess. These are first and the last one. But anyway, you'll see Celtic supporters love people like Nakamura, people like that. Anyone who plays for Celtic, especially if they put 100% effort. Supposed to be fair, same with any other club, but Celtic does have a massive amount of passion. To be fair, I know it's not unique to Celtic, but and similar, I'm sure Asian teams have that passion as well. Number 9, I hope they can practice together and develop together. Again, hope it'll be a mutual benefit, and hope Celtic can support Asian projects, like support Asian entrepreneurs, education for Asia, and things like that. Do lots of good stuff through the foundation, and I hope they, as I say, they practice together, have tournaments together, and that kind of thing. Which again I hope will benefit football development for Celtic and also for Asia as well. I hope they'll be mutually benefited along with Italian football as well. And finally, this one, number 10. Hopefully, playing, as I say, especially at youth level, and again, hopefully that will develop good young players, not only for Celtic but for Asia and vice versa. So yeah, hopefully they'll play at youth level, and again, Celtic to tour Asia, and Asians to tour Celtic maybe. And again, seeing how to get more young Asians into playing football, into coaching, management, and things like that, and giving them opportunities at Celtic. I don't think they should just be picked just because they're Asian or any diversity quotas or anything like that. I don't think there should be any of that sort of stuff. But I do think if they're good enough and they develop from a young age, they should be given those opportunities. I think Celtic, just like Italian football, should play the best players. There's no room for nepotism, favouritism, or anything like that. I think it should be based on merit. And again, no discriminations or anything like that. But again, the club could work even more on tackling discrimination and do more charitable work, even more across Asia. I know they already do, but even more, especially hopefully for empowering and benefiting young people, ideally, again, from the diaspora, how we pronounce it, and from Asia itself. And on that note, as ever, if you made this far, I'd love to know what you think, and hopefully I'm too harsh, and I'm out, and peace and love.